Okay.
Yes.
So, and then the new CEO pulled you aside and said, what?
See, normally in those situations, there are two possibilities how it evolves. The first one is, and this is a very rare one, but I want to start with it, that they say, okay, we understood what you're saying. We know that this is necessary to bring the company forward. Let's do it. And let's say they have a strategy development break because they understand they need to understand how they are as of today. The second possibility, and here we are again with Pareto, they recognize what's going on. They also see the need, but then there comes fear. Mm-hmm. And fear is the strongest emotion we know.
Yeah.
And then when you look in the eyes of those executives, you see normally the thing he or she recognizes this. Then the second thought is most of the time, how long will I be here? And what does this mean?
Do I want to rock the boat?
Yeah.
And why change a running system?
What is my personal
as long as it's running,
result?
Let's just hype it up.
And then most of them say, well, no, we will take a shortcut, do something that has the name
outwardly,
strategy. Yeah. So we do it formally. As a matter of fact, we do cost cutting to achieve short-time financial goals, and then we are in our pension, and the next guy who has come after me should do the job.
You know, it's always a great indication of what these types of executives do. Was a famous Scandinavian executive for an Austrian company. I don't know if I mentioned it. Who came in and they did a long series of cost cut. And it actually was very impressive what they did. They really did a holistic approach where they engaged all the personnel and all of the personnel on all levels were contributing small and medium and big size ideas on how to cut. And then you know what the CEO did at the end of the process, and this will probably give away what company it was. He decided to put the cherry on top of the cake after they've saved millions and he got his bonus, let's redo the corporate identity. And since they had a fleet of something, airplanes, they decided they were going to change the logo. Now, did they change the logo massively? You know what company I'm talking about, right? No. Slight change. But now do the math of how much it costs to redo the corporate identity. And I'm like, you saved millions, and at the same time, you threw out millions for a logo change that nobody even noticed.
By the way, when we're talking about strategy development, let's say giving a new corporate identity is not a strategic measure.
No, but a lot of people, if you feel addressed here, feel addressed. I won't even mention. I could list 10 companies that do this, and it always triggers me. When a new CEO comes in, their job is to understand the balanced scorecard, to understand the value chain, and not because they're clueless, let's change the logo so at least outwardly something has changed. Nothing has changed.
By the way, because you mentioned cost reduction, just to avoid the misunderstanding, I'm not saying cost reduction is a wrong approach.
Yeah.
This can be an outcome for the vision that we need to reduce costs in certain areas. Yeah. But before taking any action, I need to know where I am as of today, where do I want to go, and then we can think about the measures to take or the actions to take to gain the results or to achieve the results. We
want to say constructive, so not just complain and point fingers here, because we're part of the game. We see ourselves as active players in the attempt to do good here. I think where we have to assign some of the blame is in those that leave us. Be it either leave the company or die in this case. I think there's a huge responsibility for I think the problem with the balanced scorecard and the value chain is that in very, very dominant CEOs, the balanced scorecard is in their head.
Yes, especially in the ones who create
it is in their head, and it's kind of a semi-intuitive, semi-explicit, semi-implicit, right? And the problem is, and this is where they're also losing in efficiency, it's not transparent, it's not painted on the wall, it's not broken down into the different levels, it's not baked into the system. It is kind of baked into the system, but in a subconscious way. And this transparency. In reality, and this is something I challenge all good senior managers and executives to do, if you're doing a good job, the question is, if I were no longer here tomorrow, would the ship still sail? And would my staff know? Would the next guy fill my space? Am I replaceable? And I think too few companies work with this. And I think the Balanced Scorecard is a simplistic, as you mentioned it,
Absolutely.
but powerful tool to paint on the wall so that everybody can see it and create transparency of what the financial, the client situation, the product services, the delivery modes, what the KPIs by which we measure it as well are. And this is what we're going to talk. We're going to tie this into project portfolio management. At the end of the day, you have to. This is a lot of work, right?
Yes.
Who's going to maintain this information? Who's going to update this information? Who's going to do quarterly reports? Who's going to make sure that the people who have decision making is in the forefront of their mind? In our proposed solution, it has to be a staff position, and the staff position, the strategic staff position, would be a strategic PMO that does portfolio management, or in PMI, as I say, operational project management, the highest level.
Agreed.